Hello everyone. Today I will be doing some production painting and I thought I would show you how to prep your canvases for painting. This is a a Melinda McCara design and I'm going to be painting it for CBK Needlepoint Collections. We only need one of them, so instead of sending it out to the painters, I'm going to go ahead and take care of this one myself. So the first thing that you have to do is you need to cut a piece of canvas. Now this is on a bolt, the canvas comes with in a big roll, and on each side of the roll we have on the sides the reinforced bit. I'm sorry, my lingo is terrible for this, so I apologize if I sound very unknowledgeable, even though I've been doing this for 20 years. Um, so you want your this canvas does have a direction, just like every fabric has a direction. You want your sides of the canvas to be on the sides. They don't go like this because when a finisher goes to finish this and they're trying to pull it, if it's a canvas like this where you don't know which side the bottom truly is, as a finisher, I go to block it and it blocks differently. So as an industry standard, the left side or the right side is where you want the sides from the cut of the bolt of fabric to be. So I always put a tiny little mark when it is a piece that I have cut, so I know which way is the bottom, because I have stacks of these and they can get turned around in there. And how would you know? You can kind of tell once you've been painting for a long time, but it's not always easy. And I want to make sure that the person who gets this, and that it's easy for the person who is the finisher to block it and not have any issues with it. So that is why this lovely little piece of canvas is here. Now I can put that to the side. Since this is the design, typically a master painting comes with, if it's not traditionally stitch painted, which this one is, but it isn't. For the cheeks you can see it is, but you can see gestural lines that have been put in on this master. So I went ahead and, as a just in case, I took my vellum paper that I get from Staples because I like the thickness of it better and it has better longevity, especially for a production piece that you're going to be potentially painting again and again and again. You want it to be durable, but I also just like how thick it is, and it feels like it's a little more transparent to me than maybe it is, but this is what I like. Okay, so I made my outline. I did a few just so that I could keep on track and slide it underneath this canvas for the initial part of this. So for the initial part, we don't have the paper towel, and we literally, and I do this for design work, designing my own pieces, or for doing production, especially if it's ones that don't have to be counted out. So you take it, and I'm going along this bottom edge of my paper, which is how I'm figuring out where it's square. Now, if you notice, this side of the canvas isn't, but this side is square with this. There. It's a little off, the registration. Not as bad as you might think. So But what we want to do is, I actually moved it over a little when I did the sketch, is I set it up so that I could see that the stitches in the design, see if I can find something to point with, that's thinner than my fingers, the line underneath goes right under those stitches. Because that happens a lot when you get it lined up correctly with your template that's underneath it, it's easier to be able to lift and look, and just lifting it a little can show you where that line is underneath. Okay, so for this one, because I will be counting out stitches, I didn't bother to draw in all my lines on this. I just gave myself a starting point to count from. Okay, but typically, yes, I know it's a lovely pencil. I use an HB. It looks like it's a 2. And very lightly put in the outer circle. I know that this one they used a Sharpie. I personally don't like a Sharpie. It's hard to cover, and I don't want to see the black lines coming through because a lot of people do open stitches, and so I don't want a heavy black line in there. I'm going to totally cover that up when I paint. So that's why I like to use a pencil. And I put in just a few spots. Okay, this is where this happened. And I gave myself the outer circle. Now, next step, once we get the pencil on, we take it outside and we set the pencil with matte spray. This might seem like a lengthy process to you for prepping a canvas, but trust me, after doing this for 20 years, you want your paint to stay on the surface and not bleed through, and some of it is going to, but this really does make it easier to paint things when you've prepped your canvas like this. At least for me, that's how I feel about it. All right, so now we've taken it outside, we've given it a quick make sure we're hitting all the pencil area and the area where we're going to paint. So now it's all aired out, and now we're going to, I'm going to try not to hit my camera as I'm doing this because I'm using a very long brush. Now we're going to dry brush on the Liquitex matte medium. And when we do this, we just grab a little, kind of tamp it off to the side, and we just bring it in. Oop. And we just start smearing it and tamping it in. I don't know about you, but I'm going to date myself here. In the 80s, I was really into dry brushing stencils, and it was all the rage for country decorating things. So you just load a little bit of it, and you can see it as you're painting it. It'll be wet in appearance, and you keep tamping it so that you can drive all of that matte medium down in and clear the holes so you don't have clogged canvas. Very light. Don't have to scrub too hard. Now I will say this, after a long time your brush will get worn down. This is a hog bristle brush. I really don't spend a lot of money on brushes. Usually I do this with a kind of short, fat house painting brush, but because for bigger areas you just need it. It's not as easy to do the dry brush with it, but you can manage. Okay, I think I've got that covered now. All right. So basically, that's it. That's the prep. Now I'm going to come in and I'm going to start by putting in the lighthouse and getting it all painted in. I don't think you really want to watch me do production painting, but I will say that this is how I prep everything, and if you've done a canvas before, you will see a marked difference in how much easier and how much your paint stays up and the fluidity of it. Also, if you need to thin your paint because it's sat on your palette for a while, don't thin it with water. Thin it with just a drop of the Liquitex, mix it in, it'll reconstitute it a little. You get too much in and it's going to have that watercolory effect. It's not going to cover in a nice thick way and you might get streaking in it. But this is the way to use up the paint that you have on your plate. Good luck, happy painting!